Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of High Energy Girl. And today's adorable guest is Medyhne, who is an Australian spiritual teacher, an energy healer, retreat leader, and a multi-book author. She is awesome, you guys. She focuses on spirituality and holistic wellness. I actually did a reading with her prior to recording this episode. I was so blown away that I asked her to come on the show. And she said that if any of you listeners want to have a session with her, that she will offer a discount to the High Energy Girl listeners. So make sure that you mention the show name and she will give you a discount off of her typical reading. So without further ado, let's go say hello to Medyhne. Hey everyone, welcome to High Energy Girl, a podcast helping women to age stronger because it is never too late to get fit, be strong, and feel sexy. I'm your host, Tracee Gluhaich, health coach and personal trainer and founder of highenergygirl.com. Each week, we will either have a guest interview, which will provide you encouragement or an actionable tip to help you age stronger, or I will do a solo episode. Please also join our awesome Facebook group called High Energy Girls, and I'm looking forward to see you on the inside of that group and hope you enjoy today's show. Give a woman a fish, feed her for a day. Teach a woman to fish, feed her for a lifetime. Teach a woman to fish, end world hunger. Have you ever wanted to help people improve their health journey? Have you thought about coaching people with a keto lifestyle? Would you like to become an integrative health coach? Well, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, or IIN as we call it, is the largest nutrition school in the country. And in 2011, I graduated from their program and became a health coach. It was completely awesome. We learned over 100 different dietary theories and talk about craziness and confusion. My wish for you is that we can lock arms and create a tribe of health coaches all around the country, all around the world to spread the keto message. If this resonates with you and you would like to look into this option deeper, please go to my blog at highenergygirl.com and click on the link to the right of the homepage. Here you can grab the curriculum guide and see if it inspires you. Since I care so much about my listeners, I negotiated the very best tuition rate for you at IIN. Either you can contact them directly and give them my name, or I will introduce you to a counselor so you can decide if this is a good fit for you and your career goals. Let me know how I can support you in this coaching career opportunity. Hey, Medyhne, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's going to be fantastic chatting with you, Tracee. We have such a great rapport. I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, me too. Me too. So for the listeners that don't know you yet, will you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I'm from Australia and I am an energy healer and I guess you could say a spiritual teacher. And I'm passionate about raising consciousness on the planet. So I'm a little bit of an activist, I suppose you could say. And I'm trying to contribute every way I can to sort of bringing an awareness of the importance of soul growth, soul evolution, the ascension of the planet that's happening at the moment, everything that we're experiencing at the minute, how that relates to this sort of natural organic evolution of both Mother Earth and humanity. So tying it all together, giving people tools and resources as well to be able to navigate their way through it all. And so it's funny because I've been doing this now for 30 years, but oh my goodness, in the last year, it's just totally kicked in. Everyone wants to hear about it and find out. So you can see that, everything that's happening is really motivating people to take this new path, this path that really is primarily our reason for being here on the planet is our soul growth and our evolution, because we want to really progress as a soul. So it's great in that way because it's really pushing people forward on their paths. It's sad that there is obviously suffering and challenges for people that are pushing them on that path, and we don't want to see that happening, but unfortunately for people, often it takes that for them to really want to step out of what's familiar and really look at new ways of being in the world.
It's such a journey, and even just the vocabulary is new, right? Like the word, like ascension. And so let's go back though. So back 30 years ago when you were what, 10?
That's very kind of you. No, way older than that.
So, well, how'd you get started in being an energy healer? Like, what was your journey to where you are now?
Sure. Well, it's interesting because I've always been very curious, and I started off, I guess you could say, my passion was singing, and I would sing all the time, sing everywhere. And I used to sing at school events and things like that. And so that was my creative pursuit that I really was passionate about for many years. And then I thought, well, I want to go to university and I want to expand my mind. So I went to university and I did a Bachelor of Arts and a postgraduate diploma in psychology and English and things like that. And I thought maybe that's the path to true happiness. And so that sort of academic, cerebral sort of way of being in the world. And I realized that wasn't the path. So I thought, no, I'm going to incorporate being super fit. So I became an aerobics instructor. And I got really fit. And I remember one time when we were testing for our aerobics exam, I had to do like 3 sessions in a row and a yoga session. I thought, oh my goodness, I must have been so fit. So anyway, I did that, and that was great. And I did feel much better holistically, having been, physically in good condition. But it wasn't, again, the whole answer. So that was 2 things I ticked off. and then I sort of continued on my path, and I became a mum. And then one of it was actually my first child, actually, she went through that terrible 2 phase, and she would say all the time, no, I don't want to. No, I don't want to, whenever I'd ask her anything. And I thought, I don't want to shout. I don't want to get angry. I'm going to go and learn to meditate.
Good mom.
Thanks. And so, I mean, I had tried it before, but it hadn't really kicked in. So, and this was like, 29 years ago, 27 years ago. Anyway, so then I learned how to meditate. And it was really interesting because the teacher said to me, she said, you're going to be teaching this soon to groups. And I said, really? I said, I can't see that happening, but thank you. That's great. And sure enough, in a short time, I got so into it. And it was like a ravenous person that was just starting to eat again, because all that spiritual side of things I hadn't really satiated myself with any of that at that time. And so I was just ravenously getting all the information I could about spirituality. And then very shortly, I was teaching groups and in community centers and things like that. And then I started on my path to learn a whole range of holistic modalities, became a Reiki master. I learned full sensory perception healing levels 1, 2, and 3. I have a certificate as a minister of healing from the US, and a whole range of modalities that I work with now. But you know what? It was actually just triggering a lot of soul information that I'd already known previously. So it was, and I think that happens with everyone. You basically are a filter. Your essence or your energy is a filter for everything that comes through you. And so all the work that I do now with clients, around the world, and I do groups. I have a soul healing group for Australia on Tuesday nights as well, where we we do energetic healings and things for Australia and New Zealand, with everything that's happening at the minute. So everything that came through me was not only, you know, things I learned, but it was just like triggering memories, soul memories from other lifetimes. So I've done this before, and I channeled my name, Medyhne, about 18 years ago in a meditation, and I found out subsequently that it means medicine woman in a Native American Indian dialect and different things like that. So, you know, that is actually a memory from a past life where I was a medicine woman, and I worked, you know, with what we'd say tribe is the word. I don't know if that's the right word for a North American Indian group of people, but we worked collectively in this group. And I remember at nighttime we would sit around a fire and we would do dance, and we would share stories, and we would do all this beautiful communal living that I actually miss now, because in our culture that I live in now in Australia, you know, the Western culture, people are very isolated, and they're living in nuclear units, and there's this separation that I miss, because I have a soul memory of how we were so connected, you know, in that lifetime. And so that was a beautiful life, I remember. And so, yeah, I think that sort of sums it up. So then my journey of spirituality, I learned all these holistic sort of modalities and things. And then I ran a retreat in Bali for empowering women, and I had many radio shows too. I had 2 community radio shows in Australia, different parts of Victoria, one of the states in Australia. Now I'm in New South Wales, but then I had a show in America, part of the Healthy Life Network, for a year, and that was really exciting, because it had about 3.5 million global listeners, and not my show but the network, I mean. And so that was really a wonderful platform to be able to share things that I think were going to be beneficial for people in moving forward. And so, yeah, it's been a great journey. It's exciting and it's ever evolving. And I've just, even in the last few months, had this epiphany of this really exciting thing that I want to do moving forward. And it's a grand vision. It's a little bit wild, but I'm putting it out to the universe and saying, I'm open, I'm up for it. If you know, that's my path, I'm up for it. So it's exciting how all this is evolving now. And I think people can also start to think of what's happening in the world now as a rebirth. You know, it's an opportunity to create a new life and to have greater visions and tap into our highest potential. So when we overcome what looks like restriction and limitation, and we see that there's a transition happening and there's a growth, and that this is actually going to be an incredible opportunity for people on the planet, I think that that's really helpful at the moment.
So let's go back there in a bit, but I want to touch on some of the things that you've said just a minute ago. So I was raised as a Christian. I raised my kids as a Christian, you know, just the whole Bible thumping mama, that type of thing. And I would have never believed in reincarnation or any of that because it just wasn't taught in the church. And then I learned that we were missing, like, most of the Bible was missing from the 4th century, from Emperor Constantine, who withdrew like a bunch of stuff. And so, but I always was thinking that we were a body with a soul, not a soul with a body. And then we chose to come down here to have a human experience, which leads to believe that, well, if you are a soul and if your soul is eternal, essentially, then you're going to kind of have a human experience here, and then maybe later here, and then maybe later here, right? Which is why you had a memory of the Native American. And so can you just expand on that a little bit, how we are not a body with a soul, but we are a soul with a body, and how you learned about that maybe, and just teach the listeners a little bit about that?
Sure, absolutely. Well, in truth, there is no linear time. So all lifetimes actually are simultaneous anyway, if you can wrap your mind around that. So that takes it to another level. But We have many experiences which we've chosen to experience as a soul, and they're not only on this planet, but they're, a vast range of experiences throughout the cosmos that we have chosen to experience. I had, for example, a client the other day, and she was finding it hard to function as a physical body because she'd come from a space where she was just a consciousness in the cosmos, in another sort of what you would call a planet or a star system. And so this consciousness was trying to identify in this form in the body, and she was finding it hard to do that. So we did some work on that. So, the lifetimes are not only earthly lifetimes, but a whole range of lifetimes. If you read the Dolores Cannon books, she goes into a lot of this information. So, our soul is eternal, as you say. It's infinite, and we choose to experience what we experience. So there are no victims in this life at all. Everything happens for a reason. The thing is, we can't see the bigger picture because, we don't have the big overview like, the divine does, or, we're just experiencing this 3D reality, and it's a sort of a condensed, much more restricted, limited experience, because that's how we navigate through that 3D sort of reality. As we ascend, we're going to have more abilities and gifts and skills that we can tap into, like our intuition and telepathy and all sorts of things. And so we'll be able to function from a much greater range of abilities. But in this 3D realm that we're currently in, there's a sort of a density. It's one of the densest realities that you can exist in as a soul. And so, we've chosen to be here to have this experience. And I think that's really important to remember. The other thing is we have been given permission to be here at this time, because it's a crucial time to go through this transition into a higher reality, because never before has an actual planet with humanity or with the species on it ascended together. So only the souls were chosen to be here that were considered capable of transitioning through this shift, and that were able to bring gifts and skills to this shift. So everyone out there can consider themselves a bit of a master soul just in order to be here at this time. But did I answer your question? Was that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess you kind of went off with the whole multiple realities existing at once. So let's talk about first of where we are now. So I know that you guys are in Australia, and I bet a lot of people here in the States have no idea what you guys are experiencing right now. But then as a planet, where are we now? And then we'll go over into the future.
Sure. I hear you. Well, Australia is experiencing some of the most primitive lockdowns and sort of dystopian conditions than any other country in the world. There's been like 270 days or something of lockdown in Victoria consecutively. So it's the longest lockdown in the entire world there. And they've just, for example, in Victoria, released what's called a pandemic bill, which is giving the Premier this complete license basically to do whatever he wants and have complete totalitarian rule over the people, and spy and all sorts of things that you just wouldn't imagine. You wouldn't think that we're living in communist China here in Australia, but it does feel a bit that way at the moment. So there's all these things happening, like, for example, this division between the ones that are, this and the ones that are not this. I won't say the word because I don't know how censored you are on this platform. But of course, if it's on YouTube, we can't say that word. But, the ones that are and aren't, they're completely divided. Some if you are, you can go to cafes, restaurants. If you're not, you have to miss all that. You know, in Victoria, of course, we're coming up to Christmas, and you can't. Same thing. You can't attend a lot of things unless you are, you know, have this. And the borders are closed. So, you know, family members can't go across the borders to see their family on the other side of the border. You know, I can tell you a personal story. We have a dear friend, and he was driving to drop off a bike to and he slightly went across the border. He didn't mean to, but he went across the border. And so what happened then was he got stuck on the other side of the border, and he had nowhere to go or to sleep or anything. And he said to them, look, I've got to get back to my house. And they wouldn't let him get back across the border. So he slept in his car for many days. You know, we did offer some help, but he refused because he was so concerned that he was being traced and tracked, and which is what's happening as well with our technology. So he did that, and then he said to the authorities after about 4 days, he said, well, look, you know, if you don't let me get back to my house, I'm going to just, you know, hang myself from a tree, and I'm going to do a report to all the media, and then do that right in front of the media. And they said, okay, we'll let you get a pass. So then they offered to let him have a pass. So he went across back to his house. And then they stormed in and said that the police said that he had to open the door or they'll break it down, and then he had to be quarantined. So then they stormed in, he was quarantined, had to pay like $3,000 or something for 2 weeks in quarantine, when, you know, completely negative, nowhere near COVID, nothing like that. It's just the whole thing is complete beat up, you know, it's ridiculous. And then now he's finally back home. I mean, this is
So
just
you
a
mean
friend of ours.
he didn't quarantine at home? He had to go somewhere to
No,
quarantine?
they took him to a hotel, and I think he has to pay about $3,000, and he was just locked in there. He couldn't do anything or go anywhere. So I sent him some things to read, you know, to keep him, you know, and some meditations to do and things like this. I mean, it's just unbelievable here, you know, in Australia. And, you know, I'm wondering if some of this is I believe there's stuff going underneath where, you know, there's a benevolent energy that are transitioning a lot of the negative stuff off the planet, and that some of this is to wake people up. I'm not sure how much is the dark, how much is waking people up, but my gosh, you know, the way that people are being pushed here, it's unbelievable. And then of course you've got this everywhere, people wearing these everywhere. Outside, you know, even people driving their cars with them and walking around. It's like, oh, and, you know, and from my perspective, this it does nothing but damage your health, so it's just a very strange time. And of course, the original people here are also being targeted.
Right.
And I'll tell you a story about that too, which is really sad, actually. This is what's happening. An elder was quarantined. She was tested negative. She didn't have anything. She was put in a quarantine facility, an original elder, and she had some health issues. So from early in the morning, she was pleading for help from the authorities to help her with her medical conditions. All her family similarly were pleading and begging all day long. It got to late at night, it was about 7 o'clock, and she started to have, you know, a serious cardiac issues. And finally they came to give her some help, and she died there. So this is the other thing that's happening. You know, they're actually targeting the original people, and they're quarantining them, and they're forced this with them. It's been, the Indigenous elders are saying it's a land grab for the land, and also, you know, they hold the DNA, the cellular DNA that is the most pure ancestral DNA on the planet for humanity. So they're holding like the keys for humanity. It's like a code or a genetic code for the planet, and this is also what they're trying to get rid of. So, you know, it is an SOS situation for the original people here in Australia, and anyone out there that can do anything or help, any international intervention or support, you know, we put our hands up for that right now and just say, please come and help. And so, yeah, that's the situation here in Australia.
Gosh, Medyhne, this is so surreal. You just can't make this stuff up. You know, what we're going through right now and what you just said. I had a nightmare last night. We had friends and family over last night, and my best friend said her son got the third, you know,
Yeah. Oh, gosh,
27 years old, getting this third thing. It's like, please give me a break.
yeah.
But I can't say anything because, you know, they're snoring away. And I went to bed last night, but this must have been in my subconscious. It was really worrying me, apparently, because I had a dream that we were rounded up, forced into a field to, you know, get that. And I escaped on my own, got into my car. I have an expedition, and I got into that car and I was like, wait a minute. I can't leave my husband and my son and his girlfriend behind. So then I snuck back in there, and then that just kept looping, kept looping, kept looping all night. I could not get out of that loop. It
Wow.
was horrible.
Gosh, yeah, I will say to that too. It's very interesting because, you know, our path for soul evolution is an independent individual path, and so we can't bring anyone with us. And so sometimes we're feeling like we want to go collectively with other people, but it doesn't actually work that way with evolution, because it's based on your own individual consciousness and your own level of, you know, evolution of where you're at. So, you know, we want to bring people with, we can't always do that. So the lesson in spiritual mastery here is non-attachment, which is being able to release attachment to what we're most attached to, and then surrender that, hand it up to the divine, hand it up to God, and then be able to be in, you know, divine unconditional love with that, but not be attached. And that is a, you know, basic Buddhist principle that all attachment causes suffering and pain. And we're really learning that right now, because we can't bring people with us on this path if they're not ready, even if we want to. And so this sounds a bit like what your dream's about as well. And you know, that non-attachment. Oh my gosh, I just saw the most incredible story about this, that the universe teaches us non-attachment in such profound ways. And get a load of this. This is the most incredible story I've ever heard, because I often think about stories about non-attachment. I knew that there was this guy I heard about who he was very attached to his material possessions, and he would hoard them in his house and collect them and had all this stuff in his house. And then one day he came home and the house had burned down and everything was razed. And that was a lesson in, you know, letting go of attachment to material things. But this is fascinating. There's this socialite in Sydney, and she would just collect shoes, and she loved really expensive, you know, Louis blah blah. I don't know the names because I'm not into all that. But you know, the you know, those really expensive shoes. What are they called? I don't know.
Louboutin or something.
Louis,
Christian Louboutin. I don't know.
yeah, one of those. Yeah,
Louboutin.
really. Yes, the really expensive ones, whatever they're called. And she would collect them, and you know, she would collect and collect, and she was just passionate about these shoes and having beautiful shoes. And she had, you know, over 400 shoes. And then she went to Africa, and she got picked up like a bacteria, and it went into her body, and she had to have her feet amputated. So she couldn't wear shoes again. And now she has artificial feet, and she can't wear those shoes. I thought, oh my God, that is so fascinating.
Wow.
I know.
That's like a karma thing.
I know, it's fascinating. And the ultimate in non-attachment, you know, to what she was attached to. I can send you the link for that story. It's so fascinating.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Well, so basically where we are now, we are in a state of dystopia, which most people have, at least here in California, I think most people have no clue what is really happening in the world.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm surrounded I'm surrounded by it. And so why do you think this is happening? Why do you think that we are, dealing with what we're dealing with?
Sure. Well, it's interesting because everything was pre-engineered, many, many, many years ago, or this whole pandemic agenda and everything like that. 40, 50 years ago, it was all conceived. And I mean, when you look at the numbers of the billions of these that have been made, if you made one every second, to get 1 billion batches, it would take 32 years, and they've already put out billions of batches. So it must have been done a long time ago and stockpiled in order to be available now. And so, when you think about all that, and you look at this, like 200 layers in the government of plan for all this. There has been planned over many, many, many years, or 200 layers deep in the government. You can look at reports on that. It's all completely pre-engineered by the dark for this, totalitarian agenda, where they just look at the Georgia Guidestones. They're wanting 500 million people on the planet, which would be the slaves for the elite, the Illuminati, and so forth. And that was their agenda. What happened was the positive forces who could see this coming also were aware of it, and so they are utilizing what's happening to actually go underground and do a lot of clearing up of the dark, and getting rid of a lot of the satanic, I don't know how much we can say on this channel, stuff, and the child trafficking, and the P word, with little people, and they're getting rid of a lot of all that and clearing all that up at the same time. And actually, my feeling is that they're actually definitely winning, but they're keeping it all quiet because it is also an experience, not only to be kept quiet so that they can actually be successful, because if they make it known, then the dark know what's happening, but also it's an opportunity through an experience of being going through real serious challenges, that people actually see the world in different ways, and they wake up to the truth of the reality, which is that we have been living in an enslaved system for thousands and thousands of years, and we're breaking out of that now. And when you think about it, going to work 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and just trying to pay your mortgage, and just having enough money to be able to scrape by, most people can't save because the system is not set up for that, and this is all purposeful. So we're breaking out of those structures. We're going to be going into a new world where we can be in our joy. We can do what we love. We are going to be provided for. The money is really a tool of the dark that has been utilized to enslave us. So in the future, we will all be provided for, and we won't have to worry about that. And I don't think it's too far away, but this is a huge experience when you really look at the information about everything and what's going on, and how what happened with the whole COVID thing was that it was planned to be much more serious and to damage people much more than it did, but it didn't. So the plans that they created to put in place when it happened seem completely out of proportion with what it actually is, because they planned it to do more damage, the duck, but it was actually it was changed by the good forces so that it didn't have that really bad impact. And so you can see that there's this out of proportion response, I mean, through all the lockdowns and everything, with what actually it is, and the fact that it's never been isolated and everything else. And so it's just, I could go on.
Well, it's so true. Like before I guess last March or whatever, I had no idea who Mike Pence was, who Joe Biden was. I was so not into politics. I've been in fitness and health coaching, and, that's my life. I live on a farm here out in California, active lifestyle. But it was like I was in my little cocoon and I didn't know anything. And I was a fitness instructor at the gym. And when we found out, well, we have to close and this is all happening, I was afraid for maybe, I don't know, a week or so. And then I'm in this chat with all these holistic practitioners that I had done a training with in Florida for something. And they start posting videos of Judy Mikovits and Dr. Buttar. And I'm just thinking of like people who were out in the front of it saying,
yeah,
yes. And I'm trying, there was one more, Shiva, Dr. Shiva.
Carrie Medyhne, Dr. Carrie Medyhne.
Oh, I don't remember her at the beginning. But anyway, so it started waking me up and I was like, oh my gosh. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, I had no idea. And I read like Judy Mikovits's book, but my eyes were wide open. And then I started going, oh my gosh, I can't believe. And so I'd post all this stuff on Facebook, like trying to tell my friends, and they're like, oh, well, that's been debunked. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. And then I started questioning myself. And then I realized, oh, no. And then my eyes started opening. I started realizing what was really going on. And now I feel like there's a few friends of mine. I have maybe 3 or 4 friends that are more aware of what's happening. And those are the people I want to spend my time with.
Absolutely. Well, I think the thing is when you're too comfortable, and I've been told this about Australia too. I just interviewed someone recently and she was saying how it's been set up so that people have a good quality life in a sense, although it's very expensive to try and afford a house. But basically, we've got these beautiful beaches and beautiful landscape, beautiful environment, lovely country. And it's been set up so people have a certain quality of life so they don't question. They don't question the people that are in control of them. They just basically go along compliantly with the status quo, and they don't want to change it because they're feeling good, so I think that's the purpose as well energetically of this. When you look at the bigger picture metaphysically, that you become uncomfortable and then you look at how you can change things and how you can improve things. Otherwise humans tend to just want to go along.
Yeah, the hamster wheel, right? It's just it's crazy.
It's easy to just do what you've always done. It's secure, it's familiar. It takes courage to step out of what's familiar, and it's a lot of it is fear too, because people don't want to acknowledge or recognize that there are nefarious forces that have been in control of the planet, and it's just too much for some people to be able to want to look at, because people generally they're good people and they're benevolent, and most people just want to be kind to one another and help one another. We're lovely. We've got good hearts, and we so it's hard to sort of assimilate that level of evilness, where people want to depopulate all humanity and get rid of everyone, pretty much. So it's pretty hard to take that on board, and it takes a level of great sort of courage and confrontation to be able to confront that and to integrate that and still be able to function well and stay positive. And I think that as people evolve spiritually in their consciousness, they're more and more able to do that. So having certain spiritual gifts and tools where the divine is supporting you, and that the essence of the divine is unconditional love, and that light and love overrides everything else, overrides any darkness, is way more powerful. Having those basic precepts for understanding in your life makes such a difference, and that we are eternal souls. This life isn't everything. So if something happens for example, we're an activist and we stand up and we make a difference and something happens to us, well then our life is eternal. If we pass now in this moment, we will come back again. But at least we're standing in our truth, and we're being in our authentic self. So there's not this overriding fear of death where you're just paralyzed from doing anything because you don't want to look at that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, totally. It makes a big difference. I mean, I'm trying to teach my mom about this stuff because she's older and she says, I just want to die now. And, all this stuff. And I've been explaining to her because Tamara said, I think it was Tamara that said it. No, it was another teacher. I'm very attracted to people like you that do this work because I'm learning. I just want to soak it all up. But my other teacher, Leanne, had said that one of my past lives that I was working in Mexico with herbs with my grandmother. And I was helping my grandmother with this, medicine. She was like a medicine woman. And that grandmother at that time is my mom now.
Right.
And I was trying to explain this to her and she's like, what? So let's kind of review so far. So basically we're living in this crazy dystopia because we're basically the evil is running our world.
Yes,
it has been for a very long time, but it's the light, the white hats or the light, yes. God, and is wanting to bring our people, our world out of the darkness and have a new world or a new earth, yes. which the golden age of mankind that we're stepping into. Okay. So we have these, the two opposites. And then you've said some words that I believe are how we're going to get here. You've said consciousness and ascension. And those words are new to me over the last year, I guess, 6 months to a year. So can you kind of talk a little bit more about those two things and 3D, 5D, just that whole, like Absolutely. If you were just to explain to the listeners if they didn't know anything about it.
Sure. And I will say, just leading into that the galactics are also helping us. So we have higher help from other civilizations that have in some ways, they've got a vested interest in supporting this evolution, because if we're impacted in a negative way on this planet, it impacts the whole all universes, it impacts the whole cosmos. So we are getting a lot of higher help as well, I will say. But so in terms of consciousness, your consciousness is relating to how you view yourself as a soul, as a body, and so to evolve in your consciousness it's really important to go inward and to connect to your soul, instead of being sort of functioning in the world in a way that is completely determined by the external circumstances going on around you. Consciousness is when you're able to go inward and connect to yourself on a soul level. And when you're able to do that, you can tap into universal divine knowledge. You actually have all divine knowledge within you, but you just have to go inward and become silent enough and still enough to tap into it so that you can access it. Your soul is divine. It is part of God. And so you have the most infinite amount of resources within yourself, and we've lost sight of the incredible empowerment and power that we have by diminishing ourselves in our own perspective of who we are as human beings. We have, in fact, 22 races of DNA, not just human, but galactic in our DNA. And so when we are able to tap into that, which is often called, junk DNA, when we're able to really tap into that and utilize what that really means, we are gods. We're infinite co-creators that can create anything in our worlds. So this is our true source of consciousness, is that we are divine beings. And so the more that we can tap into that and access that and expand it within our being, the more this planet and we will rise, collectively and individually. Ascension is the path where we're going from a denser 3D reality where, there's wars and negativity, a very dualistic, polarizing sort of energy, where there's dark and there's light. To ascension is going into the fifth dimensional realm, is where we actually tap into a new reality where there's predominantly peace, joy, love, harmony. It doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. There's still going to be, challenges for people, but it's going to be completely different. And where people are able to, as I said earlier, tap into these spiritual abilities and gifts that we've always had, but we'll be able to really work with them there. But, you can't go to those levels of ascension unless you can override the negative feelings and emotions of hate and, wanting to harm one another. To be on that ascended level, you have to be coming from a space of love and benevolence and those higher frequency energies. So it's all about basically transmuting our shadow self and our darkness and becoming more light. And that's the process of soul growth and soul evolution. I think that answers ascension and consciousness.
So how would you, what would a person do? So I'm aware of these terms and practices because I've been just sucking it up as much as possible. And by the way, I ordered those 2 books you told me to order.
Oh, fantastic.
So thank you for that.
Oh, pleasure.
So, but if a person is just brand new to this type of conversation,
yeah,
what is the top, 1, 2, or 3 things that you would say would be helpful for them in their own individual journey?
That's a great question. So the first one would be to spend time not being focused within your energy on anything external, but being able to sit quietly and try, for example, meditating. If you can't meditate, just sit quietly in nature, close your eyes, breathe and tap into your body and how you're feeling. Become conscious of your actual physical body. Become conscious of your emotions. Become conscious of your mind. What quality of thoughts are you thinking? They can categorize thoughts into 4 types, positive, negative, wasteful, and what's the other one? Necessary. So be aware, how does your mind think? What emotions are you feeling? What sort of intuitions are you getting about yourself and about the world? Tap into that internal reality. It's a whole incredible landscape that's there for us to tap into. Can ask to connect to your angels, ask to connect to the divine, ask to connect to your higher self, your soul. Do sessions with people like me where you have a session and you can get tools or resources. That's one way. Another way is connecting to nature. So, being able to be in nature really taps us into Mother Earth. Mother Earth is an incredible source of wisdom and also peace and love. And so, taking your shoes off, walking with your feet, grounding your energy every day with nature, putting your back to a tree, breathing in harmony with the tree. You'll notice your breathing changes. Enjoying, becoming present in the present moment as well is really important, to be able to center your energy in the now moment. When you're in the future or in the past, then you're not in your joy as well. So the more you're in the now moment, the more that you will be centered, at peace, joyful, and that will also accelerate your soul evolution. So there's 3 ways right there.
Oh, that was at least 3. So I like energy, and it's hard for me to still meditate. What's easier is if I go on a hike or even do some yin yoga. Because have you ever done yin yoga?
No, but I know what you're saying, because you've got the type of energy that's very go, go, go. And so sometimes it's hard for those energies just to sit still and do that. And I totally get that. So there's a different way to access that same quality through different forms of energy. So for you, exactly, being in nature and going on a hike would be perfect, or you know, something that is more kinesthetic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I love going to the beach and just taking a long walk for like an hour on the beach in the water, you know?
Perfect.
Um, but I really have this desire that I want to meditate. I even got certified with Soma breath meditation.
Yes.
And so I want to do this practice. I don't know what is stopping me from making it part of my routine, you know?
Okay, well, there's a lot of different things. Like if I go into people's energy and read the energy, it can be different things. So, for example, one of the things can be that you're very centered in the mind and very focused on the thoughts, and so that's actually preventing you from stilling your mind and accessing. So, centering your energy in your heart chakra, and then functioning from that heart chakra is a place of stillness and unconditional love, where you're more able to meditate. Because when you're in the mind, you know, you could get thoughts that go round and round in cycles and things like that. So it's teaching your mind practices to be able to empty it and to calm down the thoughts and become still. So that could be one of the things preventing you from the meditation. There could be soul beliefs or soul contracts as well, you know, different things like that for people, where they, for example, maybe they were really a powerful you know, spiritual teacher or leader in a past life, and they misused that power, and so therefore they've given themselves like a contract or belief system where they're not able to access that empowerment again, because they don't want to misuse it again. You know, there's a whole range of reasons why we stop ourselves from accessing those abilities, but you are the co-creator and you can create anything you choose. You just have to have that intention, and there's always ways to do that. So I would say to anyone out there that wants to do that, you have the capability, the ability. You can put out an intention to the universe and say, dear universe, I would love to do such and such. Please guide me. Please show me the way. Synchronicities will pop up all around you. I know that things. I remember this one woman, I said to her, I think you'd be really beneficial to read some spiritual books. Just go to your library and see what happens. And she was walking down the aisle and this book fell on her head. and it was like the perfect book for her
Knock,
to read.
knock.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
that's
knock,
right.
knock.
That's
Oh
right.
God,
That's
that's
right.
so funny. Well, I want to honor your time, and I know we're coming to the top of the hour, Medyhne. So will you please let people know how they can find you, what resources you have, and just all the juicy details there?
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Tracee. It's been a joy to talk with you. My website is medyhne.com, and I'll just get the spelling right. So it's Medy for yellow, H for Harry, N for Nelly, E for Edward. Because everyone spells it all sorts of ways, but it's medyhne.com, and people can go to the contact page and contact me if they're interested in a session. I also have, as I said, a soul healing group for Australia and New Zealand on Tuesday nights, which is free on Zoom. People can join in there and help with that, and it's both healing for self, but healing also for the planet and for Australia and New Zealand at the moment. Also, I have a YouTube channel, Arise Humanity, and love you to go there. And it's got some great interviews and things on there. I just did a beautiful video for a reading that was done to empower women, and it's had some beautiful comments, and it's on the video. It's really actually made me cry when I heard this lady read it. It is so beautiful. She didn't want me to mention her name, so I mentioned her name, but you can see it's just so touching, this beautiful piece of writing. So yeah, there's lots of things there, and I have, as well as the sessions which people do with me, I have a lot of resources that I give people to work with on an ongoing basis after the session, and getting incredible feedback from people that the work is really shifting them on their soul journey, which is really beautiful. So yeah, just happy to help people if they want to contact me.
Yeah, I listened to one of your, let me see if I can find it, one of your YouTubes that was How Do We Navigate the World We Are In Now? Is that the one? Oh, yeah. And you do like a whole healing session on there. I actually will link that in the show notes page because that was amazing. I love, Medyhne, how you call in all the ascended masters and the dolphin energy and everybody to help. And I was doing another one. I think you were on I love Tarot by Janine. I listen to her every day. Like I stalk her. Um, and you were having, cutting the cords with the sword of Archangel Michael,
Yes.
and that I just love it so much when you do those. So I will also include those videos into the show notes page so people can, see the magic that you offer your listeners.
Oh, thank you. That's really lovely. Well, I want to share a little story about this because, I call in a higher dolphin temple council of the light every time I do this work. And so always working with the dolphins. A couple of nights ago, for 2 nights in a row, I had a pod of dolphins swimming 25 meters from my bed, just on the, because I'm living on a beach here, and they were on the shoreline, and they were splashing and jumping and making a lot of noise all night. So I didn't sleep for 2 nights, but it was pretty amazing. And they were working with me and energetically in whatever way that they were choosing to work with me. And I said to him, I could hear them singing really loud, and I said to him, can you hear them singing? And he said no. So they were singing to me in my head, and I could hear splashing and jumping literally all night long, 25 meters from my actual bed overlooking, the beach where we are. So that was incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that is cool. I was at the beach maybe 10 days ago. It was too cold last Wednesday. It was about 75 degrees. Well, we have different degrees than you, but it was a nice, warm, sunny day.
Yeah.
And there was two different pods of dolphins playing out there. I just love when I see that.
So gorgeous, isn't it? They've got such a beautiful high frequency. And whales and dolphins hold the Akashic records. The Akashic records are the records of all things, all humanity, everything. So they hold that within their energy field. It's pretty incredible.
Somebody did a reading. They were practicing their Akashic records. She was training in that modality and did a reading on me as like I volunteered to let her read for me. I had no idea what I was in for. And she said that I was a healer. And a long time ago, I painted in my kitchen. It was 10 years ago. I'll never forget. I was at the Chinese tea gardens in San Francisco with one of my teachers. And he looked at me and he said, "Healer, heal thyself." And I literally came home and painted it in my kitchen.
Wow.
And yeah, I had no idea that I would be like next month I do Reiki Master. I can't wait for that. So
perfect. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, that energy is so needed in the world at the moment. So, you're a gift to the world at the moment.
wow. We're all trying to do our part. I'm working on the after effects. Like my projects are going to be like on the humanitarian side, the healing side once we transition, which gosh,
Yes.
everybody's saying we're getting close, Medyhne.
Absolutely. I do feel we're close. You can sort of almost taste it, can't you? We're coming to like a tipping point.
Yeah.
And the more people awaken and the more people realize what's really been going on this planet, the closer we're getting to it, and the more people get pushed with all these, Australia, the ludicrous levels of regulation and control. The more they get pushed, the quicker that's speeding up. And also seeing the effects of this, that's happening around the world, or the adverse reactions where we're actually hearing the truth and it's not being suppressed. That's also pushing people to realize that there has been this agenda going on that has not been serving humanity whatsoever.
Yeah. One of my friends at the gym this morning, just today, she's a personal trainer, and she was doing a Zoom call with her client, one of her clients. Her client had a stroke while they were on Zoom.
Exactly.
And she had just had that. And
Exactly.
I think it was the third one. And she ended up in the hospital for a couple of days. They were lucky to catch it in time to give her the medication.
Well, if you actually ask everyone that you know in your network, because you're not hearing it, of course, through the mainstream media, if you ask everyone you know in your network, everybody knows somebody or has heard of someone that has had adverse or deaths or whatever. So that's how you're getting information at the moment, because you're not getting it through the mainstream channels. And you need to really make the correlation between when people have this and then they start to go down. And when people start really putting two and two together with that, and then see all that happening everywhere around us, everywhere, then hopefully we'll be able to stop this ASAP.
Mm-hmm. And at the very beginning of all this, I came out. Seriously, March. I remember I did building our immune systems so we can avoid and prevent all disease, right?
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
more important than anything, is just having a healthy lifestyle.
100%. So important. So important to just do everything you can for your health holistically on every level, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally at the moment, and be as high frequency as you can. And when you think about, your own soul growth, that is, such a crucial reason of why I'm actually here at the moment. So what can you do to contribute to that, soul growth at the moment, and just do everything we can for that, because everything's really accelerated now, and you don't want to miss that wave, you don't want to miss that boat as it's coming through.
That's right. Well, I just want to thank you so much for honoring us with your time today, Medyhne. You are so lovely, and I just love being with you and listening to you speak. So thank you.
That's so beautiful. Always a joy to chat with you and to be in your energy too. So thank you. And lots of love to all the listeners out there as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I do. We are learning so much about who we really are as people, and it's super fun to connect with people who know more than we do, so we can learn and grow in their knowledge and in their love. Lovely light, I should say. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. Please share this episode with a friend so that they can also learn this valuable wisdom. And for complete show notes, head on over to highenergygirl.com/show. And Medyhne's website is medyhne.com. Make it a great day, you guys. This podcast contains the opinion and thoughts of its host and guests. It is intended to provide helpful and informative material on the subjects covered. All statements made on the podcast have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. If the listener requires professional assistance or advice, please contact your personal medical doctor. Both host and guest specifically disclaim any responsibility for any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence directly or indirectly of the use and application of any of the contents of these episodes. Like I said, this is my opinion and I could be wrong.